Moving ahead with the next panel conversation, navigating East Mediterranean energy dynamics, the challenges of energy security and energy transition. So, moderator is Mr. Kostas Andriusopoulos. Costa, where are you? Is Kostas around? Okay, I will ask first Ms. Doukou to come over and please. Mr. Aristofanis Stefatos is on the panel, Mr. Kostis Ifneos, Mrs. Maria Rita Galli, Mr. Tassos Vlasopoulos, Ms. Theodora Georgieva, Mrs. Janet Salom, and Mr. Christian Svensson. But we're still looking for Mr. Kostas Andriusopoulos. Oh, he's coming. Hello, Kostas. So you're taking over, right?
I'm taking over.
Okay. Please keep the time. Thank you.
So we're ready to start. Everybody is here. We have a long panel, so we'll try to be as efficient as we have been all day long with our discussions. We will be talking about navigating the East Mediterranean energy dynamics, the challenges on energy security and the energy transition. So we have to save time, we will start directly with the addressing to each speaker. We have the honor to have the Deputy Minister, Ms. Alexandra Zoukou, with us on this panel. I will start straight with the Minister in terms of the introductory remarks. And I will give the opportunity to everybody to say a few words first, launch with the introductory remarks, and then we will have some Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good that you mentioned the title of this session so as not to be mistaken with so many different panels, discussions here and there. So navigating East Mediterranean energy dynamics. I'm quite sure that all of us in this panel very much believe in this effort. And I think that the importance of all these reserves in the area, first of all, if I can recall, Osama, correct me, this has been recognized when we signed this Memorandum of Understanding. It was on the side of EMGF back in 2022 in Egypt. When we signed, it was the President of the European Commission, Ms. von der Leyen there, together with Egypt and Israel, where we set an MOU stressing the importance of using these reserves in order to secure energy security in Europe. So without any doubt, I very much believe that these reserves, obviously, they play a pivotal role in what the European Union pushes, which is the Repower EU strategy. Now, another point regarding the Egyptian LNG exports. Remember again, their expansion back in 2022, 2023, again, if we all recall, they had played at that time a significant role in helping us effectively disarm, let's say, the Russian energy weapon. And although now we are in 2024, let's recall what a shock it was back at that time in 2023. So at that time, Egyptian LNG exports proved to be also very important. Now, of course, the situation is quite different with Egypt. Okay, they currently have stopped all these LNG exports due to, understand, severe electricity and overall energy shortages in the country. But I strongly believe that this is, let's say, a short-term setback, and I'm pretty sure that this situation will likely drive more investment in the years to come. It might lead to new discoveries, and also I think it's going to advance the development of export infrastructure, ultimately find a way to increase regions' export capacity. I also believe in Egypt's capacity as a major gas exporter. And this is not my belief. I think this is the European Union's belief, or international oil and gas players. And this is also, for me, became evident in 2024, actually, when the European Union and the IMF, they extended, let's say, a major support to the country in order to revive and strengthen Egypt's economy. And I'm sure that we, all of us, wish that you be in a position to promote more investments in this sector. And I'm closing, Kostas, by saying I think we have 3 milestones, let's say, currently, that are equally important. The first is, I guess, the Leviathan decision to increase the production capacity by 9 BCM, I think, annually, and in collaboration with the Israeli government, determine the export route. Because, and this in combination also with other smaller fields in Israel's exclusive economic zone, developed by Energean. I think all of them in combination, they could significantly boost the region's net export capacity. The second milestone is the Aphrodite, the development of the Aphrodite field. We have from Cyprus. So, and other Cypriot discoveries. And I'm eager, Mr. Stefatos, for the third milestone, which is the Greek discoveries. So you will say more on that. But I think that if everything goes as planned, Kostas, I think the region's export potential to the European markets, this could, I don't know if I'm optimistic or not, but it could double the capacity to 10, maybe BCM annually, of 4 point something that we are today.
Okay. We do know that, thank you, Minister, about the introduction. The East Mediterranean holds vast natural gas reserves, if, from what we at least know from the studies so far. And it's growing in importance to European energy security, as we have heard so far, even all day long. Mr. Stefatos, as CEO of Herema, what is the increasing focus, with the increasing focus on sustainable energy that we have, how does the exploration and production of hydrocarbons now fit into Greece's strategy, based on the, the view and the directions that you have from the company? And specifically, what measures are being taken to balance the development of this sector with the broader goals of environmental sustainability and the green energy transition that we are discussing these days?
Thank you, Kostas. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here, both for the AmTram and the EMGF events. I will try to answer, starting from the last question. I don't think there is a need, actually, to balance anything, because we operate in a country where it has an undisputable potential for renewable energy. So if we can reach 100%, I would be super happy. And this is actually what we occasionally do. It would be great if we can do it over a longer period of time sustainably. Now, the exploration and production of oil and gas is a need. We are not doing it out of choice, but we do it out of need. On the electricity, for example, we need it in order to stabilize the energy mix. It's the stabilizing factor. But it's not only energy. When we talk energy, we should never forget that there is also the transportation, it's the heating. There's a lot of other applications other than the electricity generation where we do not have yet solutions. And therefore, having access to domestic resources, it's a huge benefit. It's a benefit that I may call it an insurance policy. It's an insurance policy for when we have energy crisis when it regards to energy security. It's an insurance policy when we have to sponsor the energy transition. We need to have the money. We need to reduce the money we spend in order to import. So if we have resources that we can produce, that we can control, and even if we can export, it brings revenues into the state budget. And it's also an insurance policy for what we tend to see lately, to mitigate the climate effects. So hopefully we will reach the perfect situation where we have mitigated the climate challenges, but it will take a lot of decades, and we need to be pragmatic and realistic about it, and we need to focus on using everything we can, everything we have available, in order to do that properly. And this is the interesting part. We have a huge potential from what the data show. We do not know if it's there unless we drill. We're working in that direction. But if it is, and it has the sizes that we anticipate it has, then it becomes also a regional, European and a regional issue of material importance. So for me, it's something that fits very well, but it's not the primary goal. It's something that we need to have. It's the pragmatism and the realism behind designing a robust energy system.
Thank you, Mr. Stefatos. I will now pass to Mr. Vlasopoulos, CEO of Hellenic Energy Upstream Division. What challenges and opportunities arise from this regional cooperation that we are talking about and the support from the European Union for upstream development in the area, and how do you plan to leverage these opportunities as a group?
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. Usually upstream doesn't really get a lot of support, in terms of financial support from the European Union. And historically, it's a segment of the oil and gas market that has had, high risks of course, but high returns as well. Now, if we look at this in the context of this particular area in the East Mediterranean, we have a number of countries that they are about to develop the industry. So Greece is actually in a frontier exploration area. We have about, Hellenic has got 6 licenses, together with Exxon on our own and also with Energean. So we have the whole, let's say, we understand the space across the whole Ionian Sea. But if we look to the northwest, where Italy is, Italy has got a moratorium on new licenses, and we have obviously the countries in the East Med, Israel, Egypt, that they are producers, and Cyprus that is aspiring to be soon a producer. So we have different countries in different kind of stages at this moment. So we hope, of course, that when our program matures, that we will have something to be successful. Now, how we can have collaboration in the context of the EU and beyond the EU, it can be in some ways around logistics, integrated supply chain, making sure that countries can, our contractors can use suppliers from different countries or infrastructure in different countries, okay, that they are nearby in potential, let's say, exploration, drilling, and of course in repurposing E&P assets. So if we want to pick up from what Osama Mubarak talked earlier on in the previous panel, using how can we repurpose E&P assets for CCS, for carbon capture. In that case, the EU can have a play in fostering this effort and actually funding it and harmonizing the ability of transporting CO2 from Southeast Europe to Africa, for instance, to Egypt, and of course to Italy. Also here.
Thank you very much. I will now pass to Ms. Zanet Salom, Head of International Department of Israel Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure. In the midst of the geopolitical developments that we see in the broader area, we do see that hydrocarbons, natural gas, oil, they do play a significant role overall. And the significant gas reserves that Israel has at the moment, with their proven reservoirs, and we understand that they present a very large strategic opportunity to diversify Europe's energy supply through exports as well. Could you provide any insights that you may have into the latest developments and strategic plans that the government of Israel is pursuing to advance this initiative?
Okay, so thank you for the question and having me here. I think the issue of diversifying energy sources, by the way, whether by suppliers or actually the energy source, renewable or natural gas, is a crucial issue for everybody in our area and also in the EU. And I think our area and also the reservoirs we have in the area can be a part of the solution, as mentioned Alexandra at the beginning of the panel. I want to start with addressing how Israel sees natural gas for the next few years, because I think it's important. When we look at our strategic plans, we published the new one a few weeks ago of how to get to net zero. We can see that natural gas is going to be fundamental and crucial in the movement to clean energy. So it means we all need it. And we all need to work together to make sure that we create stability, that we create a beneficial relationship between the area inside the Middle East and towards Europe. And I think also in the last few years, we saw the natural gas and energy as a bridge and a success story of connectivity in our area. And we have a good reason to look to Europe and to see how we expand that. But when we look on how to expand the connectivity and maybe export more gas, we should think about expanding the connectivity and our cooperation for new energy, because even though natural gas is fundamental and we all need it for the next few years and the next few decades, we do need to look forward and create connectivity on hydrogen, renewable energy. And when we do that, we have also to look at the Middle East toward the EU, because we must work together. I think for the final sentence of that the energy has proven to be a bridge, and we should work to create the new bridge of the future of energy.
Thank you very much. I will now pass to Ms. Maria Rita-Galli, CEO of our natural gas TSO, VESFA. Maria Rita, how will the volatility in the natural gas market, especially now with the influx of cheaper Russian gas, as we have heard also from the ambassadors earlier, impact Greece's ability to secure long-term investments in critical infrastructure projects? And considering the fluctuations in these gas prices, what challenges and opportunities may arise from Greece in attracting and sustaining these kind of investments that are needed?
Thank you, Kostas, and first of all, thank you for having me in this panel, and let's say in particular to EMGF, to our long-standing collaboration. Well, let me first say that when we talk about infrastructure and energy, we cannot be influenced by circumstances that are, let's say, of such a temporary nature. Let's say we know that all natural gas infrastructure, not only the upstream, but all the midstream and even the consumption point, the power plants, take years to be built, and then they have a useful life that, as the minister was mentioning before, can be 50, 60 years. So no decision for this project can be taken based on, let's say, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year volatility in prices. The second consideration that we always have to keep in mind is that the abundance of cheap Russian gas was what has been a pillar of German energy strategy for a long while, just before we had the crisis of 2022. So the problem remains, let's say, if we just wanted to exploit a temporary situation, then we will have to pay the bill. And the bill will be then when someone decided to close the tap, the prices, and I'm not referring to the pipeline tap, the water tap, the gas one, the prices might skyrocket again. Having said that, Greece has not initial import infrastructures. So now we have certainly reached a maturity of our infrastructures with the projects that are ongoing. And so, let's say, it will be an issue of another couple of years of completing the larger project that we are implementing, but we will have we already have, and we will have a very robust system. Then I leave it to Kostis to comment about Alexandroupolis, but with the multiplicity of import points and, let's say, a well-functioning and interconnected grid, we will not have an issue of running a risk of not being able to import sources of different origin. But what is more important is to have a regional perspective. So what we are working hard to do, and we see a strong link between the EMGF, let's say, initiative and what we call the vertical corridor initiative. Let's say we need to create and make sure that, let's say, these corridors are available. And we are not talking about pharaonic project. When we talk about the vertical corridor, we are talking about really optimizing existing infrastructure, the bottlenecking them, and find contractual, commercial, regulatory that make them easily available. So let's say I don't think that what we are experiencing now is stopping this process. We had a meeting yesterday and we were very positively impressed by the progress made by our neighboring country, in particular Bulgaria, with respect to the projects which are needed to facilitate the vertical corridor. So let's say who works in the gas industry, in the oil and gas and energy industry since years know that, let's say, we need to look ahead and not to take decisions based on prices of a few months.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We understand that maybe not pharaonic projects, as you say, but indeed a lot of investment is required for all of these projects, and we need to plan having a more medium to long-term view of what we're discussing. So we should not be changing route, course, politically speaking, business-wise as well, in a very short period of time because of some events maybe taking place. Now I would like to pass to Mr. Christian Svensson, Regional Manager for Egypt and Cyprus for Chevron. Christian, what are the latest developments regarding the Aphrodite gas project offshore Cyprus, and what benefits will it bring to both Cyprus and Egypt according to your expectations and based on the plans of your company?
Yeah, let me get to that, but first let me just thank my good friend Mr. Osama Mubarak and the Eastern Med Gas Forum and the organizers for the opportunity to be on this panel and have this important discussion with my fellow panelists. Hopefully when I come back to my second or third question, I can talk a bit more broadly about our presence in the region, but since you wanted to go straight to Aphrodite and Cyprus, let's go ahead and do that. So, of course, Chevron, we're very happy to be partnered with the Republic of Cyprus with our Block 12 and Aphrodite there. And I'm pleased that our subsidiary in Cyprus, I can confirm we submitted a modified development plan for the Aphrodite project to the Ministry of Energy, Commerce and Industry on the 30th of August, so here just a few days ago. And that modified plan is based on the plan from 2019, but it's got some modifications and it's got some optimizations that we believe are going to make sense for all stakeholders. I think this plan is going to work, so as I look forward now, we're going to be working with our partners to ensure we put all the necessary arrangements in place to make sure we can progress that project. And we believe it's important that Aphrodite progresses expeditiously, not just for the benefit of the partners, but for Cyprus and for the Eastern Med region. And I'd like to talk more about that here a little bit later on. But I do want to say that to achieve a positive outcome for Aphrodite, and this is generally true for projects like these, like my colleagues here have talked about, we need everybody to work together. So for Aphrodite, we need the support of the Cypriot government, the continued support of the Cypriot government as we align on that modified plan and as we work on all of the different arrangements that need to come together to set the forward timelines and progress the project. And I want to maybe close based on my experience or my company's experience. When you do projects like Aphrodite, everybody needs to align around a common goal and a common desire of moving the project forward. And when everybody comes together, we heard it from the ambassadors earlier today, we heard it from earlier panels and ministers earlier today. When everybody comes together and aligns around common goals and common desires, that's how you make hard projects like Aphrodite succeed, and that's how you make them move forward. Let me finish there.
Okay, thank you. You will have the opportunity to say more in the next round of discussion. Now we'll move to Mr. Kostis Sifneos, CEO of Gastrade. Kosti, the FSRU is a reality now. We're almost a couple of weeks apart from the official operation, start of operations. It's about 4 weeks' time for the project. You will tell us more in detail. So, what should we expect from now on from the terminal? What are the main benefits and challenges that it will face as it transforms the area into an energy hub? It diversifies energy sources and becomes a crucial entry point for the vertical corridor that we just discussed before.
Thank you, Kostas. This is now the 8th CEF conference that we attend. We started in Alexandroupolis in 2017 on the back of this project. So 7 years after and 14 years after we conceived that project, it becomes a reality. As you mentioned, and the minister mentioned, we overcame some technical issues that we had with the pipeline, which is connecting the FSRU to the grid, to DESFA system. We have fully completed all the commissioning tests successfully on the 11th by the 11th of August, and we are ready to start commercial operations on the 1st of October. According to our plan, we expect the first cargo to arrive on the 4th or the 5th of October. And that will be cargo which will be imported by Bulgargas. Let me also say that the project itself, there's no benefits. The project brings benefits to the market, and the main benefits that the project brings is actually it's a new entry to the southeastern and central European market. It brings more liquidity. It brings the access to new routes and new supply sources for the players in the region. Now, it can also bring more diversification, less dependency from Russian gas. But then I think when we come to the challenges, it's what you have. You have a project which now can diversify the supply of the region, but one of the things you want is you want to actually use it. So you want to have cargoes delivering to the project, and that's something that we need to work on, and I think we'll come back to it. But you've asked Maria about the situation in the market, so we need to make sure we have as much utilization for the project, and that's one thing. The other challenge is what we have now is this is a regional project, so it addresses currently Greece and Bulgaria, both as shareholders and commercially, so as users, but also North Macedonia, Romania, Serbia, who have reserved capacity at the terminal. I think one of the challenges that we have is to reach out further north and east to Moldova and Ukraine from one side, and on the other side to Hungary and Slovakia. And I think we're working with Theodora, Maria, and other colleagues to make this vertical corridor a real and useful tool, initiative to provide access to LNG from south to the entire region.
Thank you, Kostis. I will now pass to Ms. Theodora Georgieva. She's the Executive Officer and Board Member of the Interconnector between Greece and Bulgaria, ICGB. And as we have heard, is an important piece of this puzzle, let's say, of the vertical corridor. So what are the market prospects for ICGB pipeline operations, given the upcoming, first of all, FSRU in Alexandroupolis, on one hand, and the recent cheap Russian gas prices that we see on the other hand, so the flows that we tend to see from Russia? What is the role of ICGB in this realization of the vertical corridor and the future that it holds?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the organizers that invited me, and I do have also right to share my thoughts. So thank you for the question. So IGB has a crucial role because it is already a kind of smaller infrastructure, but being at the crossroad and connecting two corridors, southern corridor, the one which is connected with Trans-Adriatic pipeline and enabling sources from Caspian Sea, and on the other hand, the vertical gas corridor that we are discussing. So we started operation in 2020, where it was really a crucial timing when invasion to Ukraine started. The importance and the strategic importance of IGB has been proven even 2 months later of starting operation, where in December we already has utilized 90% of our capacity, which currently is at the level of 3 BCM, mainly for the reason of supply to Moldova and Ukraine in a very difficult time. So even this type of, let's say, this type of actions, which happens not only for 1 month, has been proven that it was worth having this infrastructure, which kind of activated also for the first time the reverse flow from Trans-Balkan pipeline, which is ultimate reaching to our goal market, Moldova and Ukraine. Currently we are already functioning and doing our operative job, but together with my colleagues, we are kind of making a unique example for cooperation and regional integration in regards to vertical gas corridor, which together with FSRU Alexandroupolis, which is starting so soon, and we are expecting very much, it is a crucial synergy with IGB. I think that it's going to make a difference and to utilize fully the potential of IGB. And also, as Maria has also mentioned, we are, let's say, for almost a year, we are having a constant meeting, which are on, let's say, CEO and also technical levels, where we are kind of, it's not only initiative, it's also, we are a kind of building trust and credibility towards the institutions. We do have challenges, and we are currently experiencing challenges given the not so nice result in the binding test, also the prices and let's say the prices which are mainly, okay, let's say dumping prices from Russian gas from Turkey versus the European hub. So it definitely plays a role, but I was very much impressed and would like to make a reference also to the speech of Mr. Jeffrey Payat, who said that this cannot somehow cannot stop the energy security and cannot stop initiatives like vertical gas corridor, which are of crucial importance, especially given the risk that now the contract for transmission from let's say Russia through Ukraine is there is a threat to be cancelled, and also markets like Austria and Slovakia are going to be reflected. Talking only about IGB, so we are not talking about we are not having let's say huge investment here. So here I think that the main goal here is to find quickly, as So vertical gas corridor for me would definitely happen, but to find solution as quick as possible, not to postpone it for future, because I think that what matters is really to happen as early as possible. So talking about generally vertical corridor, we're talking about not so much money for the first stage. We are talking not more than 800 million euro, which could make a huge difference and increase from 5 to 10 BCM, let's say, the flow towards Ukraine. From IGB, it's even smaller challenge because we are talking about small investment, but with huge impact on capacity expansion from 3 to 5 BCM. So I think that with the support of shareholder and with the support also of USA partners who are always behind us and who has been during the implementation of IGB, where we experienced lots of hurdles on the way, we think that we can manage. We heard some initiatives and we are in talks with USAID, so we are searching for a way this to be implemented and to really not to, to overcome all the bottlenecks on the way.
Thank you very much. Now I will pass on to Minister Zoku. We have heard a lot of the developments infrastructure-wise, also in terms of reserves, in terms of discoveries that we have in the broader region of East Med. And Greece is playing a pivotal role on that. It's at the heart of these developments. Do you believe that it can act as a bridge for East Med gas reserves to reach the EU markets?
As I was listening, actually, all previous speakers, I was thinking of somehow you are all protagonists on all these projects that started years ago with concepts, ideas, and now they are tangible, they're here. We are all feeling very proud, and this makes me feel confident that whatever we're having as a vision, despite the difficulties here, if we believe in something and if we have a clear roadmap on how to achieve it, then it is doable. Coming to your question, yes, I very much believe about Greece's role. If Greece is already a major transit hub for gas, let's not forget, via TAP, first of all. Greece is already a major LNG hub, thanks to Revithoussa regasification. And we saw this strategic importance of these assets during the 2022 energy crisis, when Gazprom actually interrupted the exports, especially to Bulgaria. And, well, it's not, we are 2024, it was 2 years ago, 2022 and 23. We also witnessed the importance of LNG in Revithoussa by regasifying all these quantities coming from US, Qatar, Algeria, and Egypt. And this, again, was very crucial, especially when I have to recall the solidarity that has been expressed, shown especially to Bulgaria, but also other countries further north. And all this makes us, of course, being more wiser. But another point that I would like to stress, and I think it's important to note, is that even during 2022, if we think more than 1/3 of the entire transit capacity of our natural gas transmission system was dedicated to exports. So looking at what is happening today at this moment, what we see first the European Union that accelerates its effort to reduce its reliance on Russian gas. And on the other hand, we see a lot of neighboring countries in southeastern Europe that remain heavily dependent on Gazprom. And actually, over the last year, I would say, or so, what we also witness is that a lot of Russian gas exports in the form of LNG, and this is actually expanding throughout the European Union. So what does this mean? This means that if we want to seriously achieve the goals of European Union, especially the Repower EU strategy, and avoid actually same pitfalls of the past, then we must find a way to eliminate our dependence on all its forms. And what I mean with that, I believe that we can do this, first of all, by securing long-term, reliable supplies from, I don't know, from countries like Israel, Egypt, hopefully soon from Cyprus and Greece. And we must also establish long-term partnerships with transit states in order to ensure the non-Russian gas from the global LNG market reaches the areas. So I agree with you, Kostas, that Greece's pivotal role on that. It extends far beyond the Revithoussa. We heard from our speakers here about the importance of a lot of other concepts and ideas and projects, the expansion of the IGB, expansion of North Macedonia. And I would also like to stick on the importance of the vertical corridor. I know that there is a great job that is being doing on a technical level so far. Despite the results from the market test, I truly believe that we will remain determined to develop this corridor because I think it directly challenges the vision of other partners in the neighboring areas of having a regional hub for Russian gas through other ways like Turk Stream, for example, in Turkey. So we must insist in these efforts all together, and I'm quite optimistic that if we continue the path with all the work that has been doing so far on Greece's level for hydrocarbons exploration, on other infrastructure projects, we can achieve our goals of having Greece as a regional player important for the broader region.
Thank you very much, Minister. Ms. Salom, taking from the Minister's words, what is the potential that we have coming from Israel to promote connectivity, and what regional energy projects can support this direction?
I think, as I said before, our area is a very good example for successful connectivity. Through natural gas in the last few years, we created physical infrastructure for connectivity, but also I think the EMGF is one of the greatest examples for connectivity, a platform that allows to speak energy, to promote together between the EU and the countries around us. And I think the next stage for us as government is to create the vision and the ecosystem and the certainty for companies and players to come to our area and build the ideas and the projects of infrastructure that take a long time and to support them in order to create connectivity. And it means supporting a project of regional connectivity, whether it's electrical project or hydrogen or natural gas, and also looking at greater project like the Great Sea Interconnector, like the EastMed, and trying to promote them or help promote them, help the companies that actually do the work at the end, promote them and create a network between the areas that we sit in and the EU that will help us stable the energy market and create energy security for the future.
Thank you very much. We do see that there is a lot of, the political will. It's important what you said, that you need also the companies to invest in it, believe in it, and the societies to also embrace what we are doing. I will move into more on the midstream sector because we are talking about all of these infrastructure projects. So I will pass to Ms. Maria Rita Galli again to, the start point of the vertical corridor is a DESFA infrastructure from Revithoussa and all the pipeline that we have from Greece moving to other neighboring countries. How does DESFA intend to position Greece now as a pivotal hub in the region, ensuring at the same time energy security and supply diversification, considering the current market dynamics that we have discussed before, between the battle between Russian gas, piped gas that is coming here, which is cheaper, and LNG that we might see flowing from the US and other areas of the world?
Well, more than what we plan to do is what we are already doing in concrete terms, in the sense that as a company now we have many projects which are on the ground. So construction projects that are going to be completed in the vast majority in the course of the next year, so by mid-2025. And these construction projects have the purpose of increasing the transit potential of Greece. So in a sense, maximizing the use of the pipelines, existing pipelines, with exception of the new interconnection with North Macedonia, of course, for which we plan to start the construction activity sometime early next year. But let's say what we have been doing is really strengthen the internal system in order to be able to accommodate the new entry points, including Alexandroupolis, but also bigger volumes imported from TAP or from Revitus. So these are projects that are already, let's say, ongoing. So this year we completed the first milestone with the increase of the capacity of Neamis Imbria. Of course, we will integrate and start the interconnection with Alexandroupolis and with ICGB in the course of the next month. And in 2025, we will complete the enhancement of our compressor capacity in Komotini, in Ambelià, that will help us, let's say, having the power to push more gas toward the north, plus the horizontal interconnection Carperi-Komotini that will avoid having two different corridors, but ensure the full interoperability. But what we instead are doing more is how to make sure that this role exists not only now, but will exist in the future. So we are already doing this through the existing project, in the sense that these projects are being designed and are being built, in particular all the pipelines, to be able to transport 100% hydrogen. So whatever we are spending now, as the Minister said before, is being financed also through RRF financing because it's hydrogen certified and because it will enable, when the moment will come, also hydrogen to be transported. We are promoting. Of course, these are things which will take years, but as Ms. Duku said, this project takes years, and we need to consistently pursue them. The hydrogen backbone project, which is a project of common interest, and will in the future be able to connect the north to south and export potentially hydrogen produced by Greek renewables through Bulgaria up to the German market. And we are also working on the other side in order to develop and promote an infrastructure system capable of gathering the CO2 from emitters and to liquefy it to be able to be exported where there is going to be sequestration capacity. So, of course, Prinos is going to be the first stage, but given the size of Prinos, we already know that, let's say, a long-term carbon capture and sequestration strategy requires let's say, other storages. And again, in the context of EMGF, also this angle on how, and was mentioned before, let's say, a cooperation can exist also in the reutilization of the depleted field of East Mediterranean to capture and store the CO2. So what we are trying really to do on a daily basis is to make sure that we build a path of new projects, which doesn't mean we are building the pipeline yet, but all these requires time, require working with the institution for the legal and regulatory framework, with the European Commission, with the financing possibilities offered by the various EU tools. So this is what we are doing to ensure that, let's say, the role that Greece is building now is going to be here to stay and continue to use the potential of our infrastructures.
Continuing from that point that you just raised, I will go to Ms. Georgieva. I mean, the ICGB is a reality already. We understand the importance of a relatively small but very important piece of infrastructure. How feasible is the ICGB expansion then and the financing of the expansion now of ICGB given the possible need of larger volumes of natural gas that we may have from diversified sources and supplies, given that the FSRU in Alexandroupolis is also kicking off, as we said, in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much for the question. As Maria has said, I would like to refer to one of her statement that 1st of October we are also going to start and activate IP DESFA because we are connected with Trans-Adriatic Pipeline, but we will be connected with DESFA, which enables also flow from FSRU Alexandroupolis. So as Alexandroupolis, we are always aware that there is quite synergy, and it is, let's say, by activating this project and having a constant long-term partnership, what I meant is also constant cargos, as Kostis has mentioned, we can really, we utilize fully IGB and utilize even the targets for expansion. So in other words, expansion is even much, let's say, a year before we started thinking about and building strategy for expansion. We will do it definitely. The question here is to do it as early as possible, and there is a feasibility because it matters, because of energy security, as have said, and also mostly to refer to the minister's statement before that. I mean, this partnership which we are having, Greek, Bulgaria, is also a good example how our company is functioning, because it has helped to overcome all the hurdles, and I'm sure that it could play a substantial role for not only for expansion but also for further development in view of hydrogen and upgrading the infrastructure in the future. So partners matters, and partners like Greeks has been proven that together with us, together with Bulgarians, we are really moving, in some cases not with so huge steps, but more constantly, persistently, and in the proper direction. So that's something which worth mentioning. And also coming back for the long-term partnership, what I heard and has been mentioned here is that yes, IGP is a good example for energy security and independence from Russian gas. Before, Bulgaria was 90% fully dependent on Russian gas, and now contracts like 20 years contracts that we do have, Bulgaria with Azerbaijan, she has been shown that we are talking about reliable partners, and it is something that worth mentioning. So reliability is also important and a kind of backbone for energy security. So in this case, I would like also once again to reiterate that support from USA and other providers which are enabling diversification on a long-term basis, taken into consideration the recent opening of Alexandroupolis will help a lot the whole vertical corridor to, let's say, to be smoother and quicker in its implementation. So I don't have doubts that it's going to happen, because I mean it's something that's worth having, and it is putting a great platform for another Europe, more independent.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sifneos, we do see that there is a strong political direction from the EU to diversify away from Russian gas sources. Due to the recent market developments with cheap prices that are coming from Russia, how do you think that this will affect the operations of the FSRU?
Is it a strong political will from Europe to diversify from Russia? In words, it is. I'm not sure if it's in acts. So policymakers in Brussels, and in a way, a different way, also on the other side of the Atlantic, they need to think about that. I think what we see here affects terminals. Dumping of Russian gas in the region at very low prices obviously affects LNG imports. The more vulnerable in, let's say, opportunistic supply and spot terminal is, the more vulnerable is, and the more will be impacted by this. I mean, if we look at the Greek market, domestic demand on the first 6 months 24 versus 23, it's 30% up. But imports of LNG cargoes is 50% down. So what we see is a larger and larger share of Russian gas imported in Greece, and that applies for the entire region. So what do we do about that? Alexandroupolis, in a way, it's at least theoretically much more protected because 75 to 80% of its capacity, it's reserved on a long-term basis. But we have to think about the utilization of the terminals, as I said before. So the vertical corridor is and should be an powerful and realistic initiative, and we need to move fast. We need to secure that the investments that need to be done for debottlenecking all this corridor are there and there quickly. I wouldn't put too much emphasis on the market test. With the current volatility in the market, we were not expecting spectacular results. So, that doesn't mean much, but we need to put emphasis on the vertical corridor, and we need to improve the competitiveness of the vertical corridor. I will insist on that point, although that it's not necessarily what everybody shares, but I think it's important to create a competitive route to what could be coming from Turkish, coming into the area from Russian gas coming in through Turkey. But on the other hand, I'll be a bit more bold here and say that this is also a geopolitical issue. It's not a simple commercial issue. It's also a geopolitical issue. So if you think about it, Ambassador Tunis was talking about millions of dollars that were poured into Moldova to subsidize electricity prices. So does it really make sense if that's the case to have, gas supplies from Russia in these markets? So what we indirectly subsidizing the Russian economy in that way? And even going one step further, if you want really to apply policies, here we are looking at, subsidies from coming into gas prices into the market. So how do you fight back this? This could be a commercial issue, could be a commercial war. I mean, look at measures that have been taken, for example, by Canada as opposed to Chinese imports. So there are things you can do.
There are measures, yes.
Yeah, there are things that you can do if you want to do them.
That was a clear message, I think, Mr. Sifneos. Now, we will move into the upstream sector again and try to close the discussion this way. Mr. Stefanos, considering that possibly in the long term, if we may say, given that we understand that there are many years ahead of us when we are talking about actually bringing the production into commercial operation, if we have more natural gas production at the end of the day, given that the reserves that seems to be identified, than the domestic demand, and we have some that they will obviously have some regional and European significance. What are the next steps that Greece should take in terms of exploration first, and in terms of partnerships that will help lead the way in the future? And what are the challenges that you anticipate in this process?
Yes, thank you again. By nature, I'm optimistic, so I like to always turn the challenges into opportunities. I think Mr. Sifneos' made a very good point. Are we really believing in this diversification? Well, if we really believe, then we need to do everything we can to drill as soon as possible to answer the question, do we have the domestic reserves in Greece, but also in Egypt, west of Nile, Cyprus, there are hot spots there. Israel has done a lot of work. As a professional from the sector, whenever I see the number of wells that have been drilled, the success rate and the volumes, I'm amazed. It's a very prolific region in terms of gas. So if we believe it, let's act. And by that, we are also addressing some of the regional turmoil, right? We are having problems in regional cooperation. Well, if we are addressing a big problem and we all have something to share and benefit, then it's an opportunity to cooperate and create and stabilize the region. Mrs. Galli also made an excellent point about the timing it takes. We need to understand that we live at the times where everything happens too fast. It was said earlier, last year we said one thing, this year things have changed. But then again, when we talk about energy projects, we're talking about 20, 30 years lifetime projects. So it doesn't fit this quick shift in decisions you also pointed out. So we need to move away from the political cycles, which last 3 to 4 years, to the energy cycles, which last 20 to 30 years. And a way to do that is also by accepting reality that in the long run, diversification of projects doesn't work. Subsidization, not diversification. Subsidization of projects does not work. It's a very simple reality. So how do you address that? Again, here's an opportunity. If you are in a region where you have a diversity of energy sources, then maybe the energy producers should become as diversified, as integrated as possible. And rather than seeking for subsidies, they should balance their portfolios because the different sources of energy have different strengths and weaknesses. Another opportunity for those who oppose and say, well, these are going to be stranded assets. Well, actually, currently, if we're realistic about it, green molecules, it's been pointed out, hydrogen, the best way, the cheapest way, 5 times cheaper, is to produce it from gas. If we're going to follow a very interesting principle that it seems sometimes we forget, of recycling of the assets we have, then we need to use the infrastructure. We need to use whatever we have in the best possible way, while at the same time we reduce the carbon footprint. And this is the synthetic fuels. And so another synergy, which is very, very interesting, and we have not exploited to the level we should, and infrastructure. Among other things, my company is responsible to develop the national program for the offshore wind. Well, the infrastructure for offshore exploration projects, the port facilities, the things we're going to need is more or less similar. And if you have more of them, then it makes much easier. The economics work out, the economy of scale works out, and it justifies the investments we need to take in order to have such facilities that can facilitate these endeavors. So from my point of view, I see a lot of opportunities in the challenges that we face. And to answer your first question, I think back in 2022, we had the pleasure of having the Prime Minister of Greece visiting us. He announced that it is a matter of national priority and importance to answer the question, do we have gas reserves in Greece? It's about time to act upon it. And I think since then, I'm very happy with the developments. We have, what's the right word? We have restructured in a way the group of companies, the assets we have. We have been focusing on the big targets, and we have collected more seismic data than ever before. We have all the 2D and the 3D data we need. The data show very promising things. We will not be able to answer that. I have to make it clear. It's promising, but nothing will be answered until we drill. But I'm very confident in the companies we have, the steady progress, the patience, the dedication, and of course, the money invested is a proof that we are doing the right things. I hope that soon we will be able to announce drilling decisions, and I'm looking forward to the results, because that could be a truly changing element in the way our economy works, in the way the region develops. And again, as I said earlier, without at any point in time stopping the effort to transform our energy mix into a green, renewable-based, as much as possible, energy mix. Because these things all work together. There's no silver bullet in the energy dilemma, in the energy problem that we are facing, and we need to come to terms with that and others.
Thank you, Varis. Mr. Vlasopoulou, how do you foresee the role of natural gas now evolving in the energy transition, and especially balancing our shift towards renewable energy that was mentioned a lot in the discussion, but at the same time ensuring energy security, which is important?
I think this is what we've been discussing in the last 3 hours, actually. When we look at what we have in the mix, we have fossils and we have renewables. And as coal and lignite and oil have actually departed from the power generation value chain, what is left is actually gas, potentially nuclear for those ones who have it. And in Greece, we don't have nuclear. Okay, and then you have the renewables. So gas provides, all this energy. The energy security can be base load and flexible, so it can actually operate at any time, of the day or the 24 hours basis. So yes, we need gas. Even in the most aggressive climate mitigation scenario, we have a need for hydrocarbons. It's not me that says that, it's, the academics and the analysts that produce that. And that's the business case for those ones who invest in E&P. Otherwise, we wouldn't be investing in this stuff. So yes, we need that. And the key thing is obviously if you are in a country where you had the benefit of many years of investment, as in the North Sea, you have different kind of needs versus what you have here in Greece. You have infrastructure there, probably there you don't have enough infrastructure. So the size of the find actually will define how fast things will move. And obviously this means we need to have, the collaboration of the state, which we have, in getting fast permits and, permits for ports and etc. So we need it, it's there. The economics depends on the find.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And now we'll move to a closing remark from Mr. Svensson. Aphrodite is an example, but we discussed a little bit about it in terms of the sizing and how commercially viable can something be in terms of being developed relatively fast or not. In EastMed, we have seen that it's crucial in terms of the broader gas diversification strategy that we have identified for many countries around. And what are the plans of the company now in terms of the concession areas that you have won and you are working on?
Yeah, so for sure the Eastern Med region, we have a large position here. It's important to us and it's very much a part of our future. And just reflecting on Deputy Minister Sudoku's comments earlier, we've got some challenging projects. They're coming to the points where they're about to move forward. And Aristophanes, I am also an optimist. And so as I think about our region, our producing fields in this region, they started their lives as hard projects that people didn't really believe in. And today, our producing fields in this region supply most of the energy Israel needs for its power generation, allowed Israel to switch away from other energy sources. It supplies most of Jordan's need for energy, and we supply about 10% of Egypt's need from energy from these fields. And these fields have carbon intensities of 2.5 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per barrel. It's amongst the lowest in our portfolio, and it's amongst the lowest in our industry. So the Eastern Med region for sure has potential and can be an important source of energy, not just for this region, but beyond this region. So as I think forward-looking a little bit, I think about our portfolio. We have a discovery on our Nargis block in Egypt. We have 5 exploration blocks in Egypt, 3 of them as operator. We have wells we're about to drill. And we have our, let's just finish again on Aphrodite. We have our Aphrodite project. I talked about the plans for that here in a little bit. And companies like mine, we are the right partners to be here. We have expertise that we bring from our operations and our knowledge all over the world. We have done these type of cross-border projects in the past. And we can come with a mindset of collaboration, like we've talked about, to find the solutions that works really, really well for everybody. So, you know, I talked about our producing assets. I talked about the opportunities we have. I think, you know, from my perspective, from all of our perspectives, the opportunities are great and the future is bright, and I'm sure we'll all be prosperous in this region.
There couldn't be a better way to end a long panel like this one that we had with these notes of positivity from you. So thank you very much. Thank you all for your remarks. We do have, I understand that Ms. Galli and also the Minister have to go now to an important inauguration event that you have in Mesembria. So thank you all very much for your participation here and for your great remarks. Thank you.